pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And that's very cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Thank you.
Well,
Yeah, for sure. All right, we are going to call the regular board meeting RS 192.630 to order this July 16th at 6 p.m. Our first order of business is election of officers. Are there nominations for the office of chairman?
Motion that Johnson take the chairman.
I'm just going to throw out that if anybody is dying to do this, I am happy to let them have it. But if you're not dying to do it, I will continue. I second. Okay, all those in favor? Anyone that else that would like to do it, that would like to say no? All right, nominations for the office of vice chairman. And I'm going to put a caveat on this because I watched an effective boards meetings thing, and their recommendation is to have not just Carter and I set agendas, but to make sure that our board secretary is involved and another board member. They recommended the vice chair, which makes a ton of sense to me because if something happens to me, then nobody else would know except Carter what was going on. So the vice chair has to be willing to meet once a month. It takes us about an hour.
Yep.
And okay, let the nominations begin.
Nominate makes to be clerk.
Mason,
Jocelyn, if anybody else wants. I will do that.
is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those not in favor? No. Okay,
If you guys get things straightened out, then maybe next year we can get some new people.
okay. All right, we'll keep that in mind. We'll do our best to do a better job. All right, that has been taken care of. Approved consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes from the last meeting? And
I move to approve the consent agenda.
It's okay.
all those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, passes.
And that takes care of A and B, correct?
I was gonna do, well, yeah, B was in there. Let's take a look at those, though. We'll do a separate consent agenda just because I was a bonehead and didn't put those in. So annually, we have to designate each of these positions formally. So if you haven't had a chance to take a look at those and if you have questions for Mindy or Carter on those, now would be the time to ask. Any other questions on those? All right, we will go ahead and do another consent approval on Part B, designating the following for this coming school year, 25-26. A motion to approve the designated following appointments.
So moved.
All those in favor? All right, those opposed? Okay, and that passes through. Okay, that's the end of consent. Recognition input of guests, staff reports, and correspondence. We have guests. Mr. Shoemaker and Mr. and Mrs. Blackburn, it looks like. Do we have any correspondence? Just our one resignation. Okay. Administrative reports. Do we know if Joe or James?
No, that's fine. They get access.
Okay.
He texted me, there was a family emergency and someone was broke down in halfway. He was gonna try to get back here. Or he said we could call him.
Okay,
Do you want-
let's let's just push it back in the
Okay.
agenda and see if he gets here, and then we'll address the athlete and spectator code of conduct progress. I would like to say in there, congratulations to the Union High School winning the OSAA Big Boy Award. That is totally cool. Carter, what do you have for us?
Well, it's the month of July. There isn't a lot of things going on at school right now. But one of the things that I would like to point out is that John did a good job getting the high school sprinkler system around the high school back up and running. And so if you get a chance, the grass is nice and green right out in front of the high school. And that's obviously, something that we take pride in. They are working on the upstairs hallway of the high school. I don't know if you knew that or not. The main floor of the high school was refinished with the bond work. We're doing that same thing to the upstairs of the high school. And so right now it's currently all sanded down. Chris and I just went up there and I think it's going to look great when it's all done. And then there's other various projects, but John is going to be here in August. And so I don't want to steal any of his thunder for that. So other than that, everything seemed to be cleaned up from the school year and reporting done and enjoying the month of summer.
Okay, nice.
Did you talk to the city about our newfound lot?
That's gonna be part of, when we talk about the superintendent goals.
Okay.
And, that's one of my goals, and I'll talk all about that, Mark, and let you know that,
Just
yeah,
see how you got your trees.
we're waiting.
The tree on the newly found lot.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Questions, Deb? Macy? Good. Any questions for Carter? All right, Mindy, tell us about financials.
So the checklisting is going around for June and the audit begins on Monday. If you haven't already, at least a couple of you will probably be hearing from them to work within the parameters of making sure that you don't fill out for a fraud risk sort of thing. It's pretty standard. So unlike everybody else, I'm really busy in July. So don't mean.
What are you doing? Tell us about what you're doing.
I'm closing last year still, trying to still keep up with July bills.
Okay,
It's a lot.
and getting ready for the audit, obviously.
Yes.
Perfect. Any questions for Mindy? Has everybody had a chance to look at the check thing? Has not gone on the way around. I did not have any questions.
I have a question. There's like multiple land payments. Do we pay them multiple? Like, is it like different types of?
What, I didn't hear.
If there's multiple land or education benefits.
Yeah,
payments?
because that's gonna involve the May payroll and 2 payrolls in June because we do a balance contract check and liquidity check. So they all make up with one.
Okay.
Yes, good question.
Any other questions?
For reference, that's about $44,000.
Normally, it was two, one was like 32 and then the other one was,
There would have been maybe 6 and another one for 2. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Normally we're like 40,000 on them.
Yeah.
Are they still paying into the portion of their benefits to trying to?
Depends on which plan they choose.
Okay.
The contract language says if they stay below the cap and they have an HSA eligible plan, that we will contribute back to the HSA core and up to the cap. Or if they have other group insurance, they can opt out for a 50% TSA.
But they don't pay, like, we don't take a certain amount of their paycheck each
It
week.
depends. If they choose a plan with a lower deductible, yes, they would pay it. We have 2 employees.
And why is it like really good shape?
Yes, there will be one audit finding that I know of because there was this CSI fund that was originally, I called it the Carolina Fund. It was to originally improve our math scores, and it goes back about 4 years. And at one point, we didn't know we were getting it anymore, so then we had to reauthorize that fund. And we got more monies. Well, because I didn't see that we hadn't spent all the cash, there is cash left in that fund. So I either need to spend it or sit on it. And so there may be a budget violation. 18,000. And that cancel. And at this point, it would have to sit there 2 years because I've already budgeted for next year at 0.
So I think we should spend it.
We might be better off to take the budget violation and just. It's an audit finding and we have to write a corrective action.
But we get to keep the funds we play, right?
Yes. Because we did actually spend it on a line salary. It just wasn't coded out to spend out of that fund. Yeah. So I'll work with the auditors next week to decide which is the least unit. There will be, I mean, it's there, it's free.
So we're just saying that happens, I think. You're doing a good job.
I haven't had one of those in a long time. It's been cranky, but here we are.
Okay, sounds like we've all had our chance to ask questions. Mindy, Chris, what do you have for us?
I also didn't have a lot. Since we've last met, we have completed the, I guess we call it the elementary master schedule, which has about 27 employees matching up and working together with ins and outs of their days. So now I'm just waiting for the problems. So, which will come at the end of August. I pushed it out to all 27 people know what their tentative schedule is at this point. Anybody wishes. So,
We're about it, all that unofficial.
nothing's really changed since last month as far as Julie's been out of the office, and so any applications for registration have not been dealt with until she.
Waiting at something. It's not like for her to go.
There's a couple of envelopes on her desk. But they could be considered, so I'm not sure if we got a spike there.
We have a couple beginners classes we're kind of watching closely. You're solid, like.
I mean, I always wonder what more will end with kindergarten.
Right.
I'm pretty confident that the carryover is going to be about the same.
We're like, you take a lot of her.
We do about 18 at the end of the year.
Oh, fire. Long stuff.
Anything else for Chris?
Yeah, got it.
All right, confidential and administrative contracts. I asked Mindy to provide us all with copies of the contracts. I know that I have not ever seen them. I'm not trying to be a jerk.
No.
I just want to see what the language says. So I think it's informative, again, once again, being transparent and for all of us to be up to speed on what we are signing off on. So you've all had a chance to see the contracts themselves. I've got a couple of questions that I would like to address just because it looks like we maybe have omitted some things. Carter, in yours, we do not have the life flight written in it,
Oh.
and it should be
Okay.
added. So,
Add that.
yeah, are you the one who adds to these contracts or makes the changes?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
No, we didn't.
we did, no, yeah, yeah.
It's not in here, remember? to
Yeah,
write it in?
Yeah, well, and I really, what I've done probably for the last, quite a few years is we just do an amendment. Or
An
addendum,
addendum,
sorry,
yeah. And
addendum, and I brought those for Chris and I tonight. They're attached to the back of the cell phone ban. I
okay,
don't know if you saw that.
is the life flight thing in there?
No, but I
Okay.
will add that.
Okay, you need to add that.
I wrote it, you
Yeah.
wrote it on someone's.
Yeah. Yeah, when we did all those, because everybody gets the same thing as we go through. Question on, who tracks hours for everyone? Is that Mindy? Do we do timesheets? How do we do?
With professional employees, there is no time card. There's an expectation and they have a contract and they each get a calendar every year. I don't necessarily provide those to Carter or to Chris.
Okay,
I type them for myself so I can keep myself straight, but I don't. And then we have a leave reporting system where you're supposed to fill out a leave report if we're absent for any of the various reasons.
okay. And they all get run through you, so,
Well, they're supposed to, yes.
okay. So,
You know, always get rid of you, what happens to them.
There are none.
okay,
I match the teachers and the educational assistants with their substitutes time cards so that I make sure that it's substitute paid. But,
They're not always great about turning.
well, no, I have to nag them all the time.
Is there like an electronic system that we put hours in that goes to someone to pay them or like?
How do that speak? Electronic.
you,
There's, those assistants are super expensive for the 50 employees we have. It just is overkill. There are a few districts who have moved to it, particularly for classified employees, and they're paid on a time card now rather than over 12 months. But until we change our bargaining agreement, that's not really something we need to worry about because, you know, if you're supervisors, you're making sure that they're where they're supposed to be. And then professional employees, you have a professional contract and if you're in violation of that, that's a big issue with that. That isn't something that I wouldn't necessarily see.
But people are pretty well trained, you know, like substitutes and to come in and fill out their time cards and those things.
If there is no substitute, it's when you really see the issue, like myself. I have to remind myself to that because I don't have a substitute. Carter and Chris have to be, you know, they don't have a substitute.
So like track like there
I have a system in my payroll system that keeps the hours and the days straight.
and like sick leave and all that.
for reasonable and all that is tracked in your stuff.
It's just not electronically delivered to me. It's delivered to me on a piece of paper.
But then you have electronic.
Once again, just curious, I'm just curious how it runs here. Let's see what else I have here. Curious on, and this is for Chris and Carter both, your dues and fees. Do either of you belong to any professional organizations other than COSA?
No.
No, so.
Just COSA.
So the $1,000 is adequate?
Currently,
In the part of it, we see it. For coaching, but it's not really associated with the job.
Okay. I was just,
it was at one point when you were the athletic director.
right, I was just looking at the COSA fees are $845, so I just need to make sure that we were. Does it look like this has been updated for a while, so it sounds like it's sufficient. Okay. Did anybody have anything else on Carter's?
So the only thing that I brought is the same as the beginning page that you had,
Mhm.
the addendum for Chris and for, and what we ask for every year is the same thing you guys give the teachers. And so that's written in that packet that I gave you at the end of it.
Okay,
So, and it's the identical for Chris and I.
and that was already bargained for,
Correct.
because it was, looked like it, through 26, 27.
Yes. So it's just and what we've done every year with this exact paper is I just have changed the dates and changed the. Oh. Got. I didn't change that date. So I'll make a new one. I changed it on Chris's, but I didn't change it on mine. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Let's get that in there. I have Chris's in front of me, and I have the life flight needs to be added to that one. I had a note here, did the TSA benefit get added to Chris's? No, I was missing some pages at one, can't say anymore. You get to see that. Chris, do you see that in yours? Is that right?
I don't see it.
I didn't see it in there, my notes are still here, so I would say let's take a look at that, because it just needs to be updated.
How about I update it and I'll bring it to the next board meeting? Are you okay with that, Chris? Okay.
See, Carter has 191 days. And I think they missing the heat and pages that we were. How many days? It's taking work.
I just gave him a new copy, but he doesn't see it.
Oh,
It's there.
That's it.
yeah,
170. 170,
75,
75.
175.
Oh.
And federally mandated.
Since I apologize, I
Don't worry.
have paper here. And
I mean, we've got a lot.
Thank you.
Did anyone else, you guys establish professional development plans at the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have that plan. And we actually have, we got the ESD to give us roughly $15,000 to bring in a speaker.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's, pretty exciting.
Cool. Those were all the comments I had on Chris's. Did anybody have any other questions on Chris's contract? Again, I just updating ourselves and making ourselves aware. All right, we are to Mindy's.
And the number in mine is also 5%. And mine was 1-year contract, so you'll have to move it. Sorry.
Okay. So do we need to take action on yours tonight?
And John Reynolds.
Same way.
You and I had talked about the vacation time for John Reynolds. According to the classified contract, if we follow generally that line of language, then he would be eligible still for 2 weeks until he's been here 9 years. He's not quite at 9 years yet. That's why it still says 2 weeks. His contract. So I think mine says 3 weeks.
Yeah, yours says 2 weeks plus spring vacation, so. Yeah.
Light it up.
Well, communities does too. Yeah, we just didn't get it in the principal and suit. When we updated the teachers and classified.
Do we need to make a motion later in the agenda or?
I would prefer that we just do it right now because I think it flows better. And that way we get all of our questions and discussions lined up with our motions.
I make a motion that we accept Indeed and John's contracts of the proposed salary increase to public education.
I second. All those in favor, roll call. Deb?
I,
Aye. Motion passes unanimous.
Although President Carter is put it.
Yes. Holy cow, who's that?
I won't go with this one. Thank you.
With this one?
Yeah.
I would like to thank you, Mindy, for doing the research on our salary comparisons. That was very helpful for me to be able to look and see that we are paying our confidential folks fairly across the region and size of schools. So I appreciated being able to see that. Any further discussion on my agenda? No. Well, any further discussion, conversation about confidential employees? Okay. Policy items. I have some really good news to report. The policy work that we did in November has all been vetted by all of the OSBA lawyers and policy people. And all of the legal references have been inserted and it was uploaded. Was that yesterday or the day before, Mindy? I think it was the day before. Anyway, done. All of our new policies are in. And you will look at B and C on those policy items. Last month, we talked about making corrective action and making sure that all complaints were sent to the district office, either in person or by USPS. The new policy addresses that, so we do not have to make any amendments to that. And the part C, I was going to request that we update and add a fee schedule for requests for public documents that come in. Excuse me, the KBA was public records, and the public records requests that come in have to be in writing to the district office or mailed USPS, and that is in the new policy. And our new policy KBA AR that goes with our public records lists our fee schedules so that if we get lengthy public requests for information, then we will be able to compensate for that amount of time that is being spent. We've had one very lengthy public records request last month. Mindy, do you have an approximate amount of hours that you've put in on that?
Yes, a lot of my time was probably research as much as it was providing the document. I'm at about 19 hours right now. There are some other requests that I routinely get through the year that take about 30 minutes because it's a report that actually just comes out of our system. So if it's something like that, it's not costing a lot. But as you make that schedule, keeping in mind, what a person who's doing that research is making per hour is one part of it. But I also think a lot of different types of requests, even with some of the requests from the unions, we have to get an opinion on to make sure that we're not releasing personal information to the wrong person. And when you factor that cost in, those can go up. And so in the past, with these anonymous people who are requesting every vendor we pay a check to, I have typed an email and said, here's the vendor. here's the amount we pay them. If you request anything further, it's gonna be $75 an hour. And I never hear from them again, and I'll take it. And I pulled that number out of what other districts threaten with the same thing. I don't know that that's a factual number, but in my mind, it's about 50% of my time and 50% of any other research time or attorney time, and then we would have to put into that. So that's what we've been kind of, I've never applied it. It's never been tested. They don't ask. They just are happy to get the information they get.
Yeah.
There's every single thing, right? Yes, every year I get, it's from the Oregon Open the Books Foundation. It's similar to the, it's fine, it's all public record. So, yes, I have to compile every vendor that I paid, and they will ask for every public employee and salary. And that is a public record, and yes, I do send it to them, but what I need to do is get that. Takes me a minute to get that information into some sort of spreadsheet and then delete any personally identifying information other than name, job title, and salary. So I get those every single year from at least one.
Our old policy stated that where labor efforts exceed 30 minutes, that we could request, but we never included a fee schedule in there. The new policy continues to say where the labor effort exceeds 30 minutes of labor and materials, costs will be as follows, and this is a statewide through the Attorney General's office. Clerical time is $40 per hour, administrator time is $90 per hour, attorney time is $300 per hour, and printing is 25 cents per page. So that has been added to our new policy that is uploaded into our system. So thank you all very much for a very long day that we spent in November, but it's nice to have it all vetted and ready to go and loaded. So we are completely current with all of our policies. Anybody have questions on that piece? And again, that was good news because we were going to need to go through the amendment process and then research out fees. I already had done some of that with the Attorney General's office, but now
That's why you spent the time last fall.
that's exactly
Is
right.
it one of those? And we, like a request for all of our employees and their salary?
Yeah.
The respondent, give it to her in writing over to the office.
Yeah, when they request it, she can give them the requirements and say, here's our
policy.
right, and it can be done USPS because we give our post office box address right there in the policy, or you can walk it in, but it has to be in person. That way we won't have problems with email issues again. That piece, and that was the corrective action from an earlier issue. Okay, and we will be charging those people these fees if it exceeds 30 minutes. That will.
And now there's teeth behind it, because I would just throw it out there.
Right. And the piece from the Attorney General's office was that if it will exceed $25, then we have to let the requester know that at the time. And then they have to agree to what she's going to have to make an estimate as to what that might cost. They will agree to that cost, and then before they receive their information, will be reimbursed for that. It's in the one that I've got right here. That's the new one. Number one, it says a public record request shall, and this is KVA AR. It's the.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
I was reading.
Yeah, the actual public records request is the KVA, and then this is KVA AR, public records request. And that first piece there is the piece that we needed, and that was nice. It's like, oh, yay, you don't have to redo that. Now we have one new one, it looks like. which is IIBGA AR Electronic Communications System. I'm guessing this is a new policy, so who's got that info for us?
So it should have come with the agenda, and that one hasn't changed. Did you guys have a chance to read it?
Okay, we may not have.
No,
got
not that, that's not
It did come, it came
it.
as
Okay,
an attachment.
okay,
with the agenda.
this is the whole one.
But it was last adopted in 97 and revised in 04. Probably what you know.
Yeah.
Based on the new executive order. I haven't read the whole of the orders.
Is this one that came from OSBA that we needed to revise, or this is the revised version they are recommending?
It is one, so there's a timing issue because they just did upload our policies the other day, but this is a new recommendation to revisit based, I believe, on some of what the governor's executive order is. And maintain, it's partly for our PACE insurance too, because making people aware that those electronic communication systems are school property is part of the insurance technology. What is it called? It's basically the technology insurance.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's a fancier word for it, but
There's no, this language or that language here.
No.
This is just what they want us to do.
and it's already in our policy. It's just keeping us informed to match up with the cell phone ban from the gov. right?
Which is, we'll talk about here in a little bit.
Okay.
And that's what the executive order is. That's the cell
also
phone ban.
talks about the password policies and the two-factor authentication that you're starting everybody crazy. So some of that language is what is causing OSBA to say you need to revisit this to get the PACE insurance rate.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So we need to adopt this policy in front of us.
Yes, or we can do a second reading next month.
Let's opt to do a second reading because I did not get it printed
And
off.
I also think it's not a bad thing to do a second because I sent this agenda to you before they had uploaded our new policy in. So this is the policy out of our old policy. in. So I do think waiting and looking at it, I'll try and remember if I can to send them out earlier this summer. Say, here it is, start reading. Because a lot of it is surrounding cybersecurity. That's the fancy word.
All right, we will all get this read before the next round, and then we will readdress it in new business. I've got a note here in mind. Okay, and then we'll hear about the executive cell phone order thing later on, so we will readdress that one. Okay. Any more policy questions, comments?
I apologize for the confusion.
No.
This came out after I started, so.
Yeah, no worries. And it was nice that we just got that other piece finished up, so that was nice. Number 8, information and discussion items, continued discussion of superintendent evaluation format. We've been messing with this for quite a while, and we've been pushing it. We do need to move on this because we want to be able to figure out what we're going to use this next year, and we need to know that in August because that's the start of our new year. Nick, if you would like to tell us about what you found and why you like it, that would be so.
Yeah, so Mindy sent out a copy of what I found, the evaluation template, really. I found there we'll get a chance to skim over it. So, I mean, highlights, I guess, of it. 5-part evaluation tool. It clearly puts our timeline of what we need to do and by when, what information we need to collect. And how you can collect that information, which is answering a lot of questions that we had, was having to get a hold of that information and useful stuff. It updates the administrative evaluation standards, like there's 8 of them. If I remember right, our other one had 9 standards that we were evaluating on. And kind of similarly, the way that number system or whatever to actually evaluate each of those standards. And then I like that at the very end in the appendix, there was supporting documents that explain literally every step of the process. So I felt like it just literally outlined and laid out very clearly what we do and how to do it. So. Oh, no, that's about all I got.
In the appendix too, like, you give it to Carter and it gives him examples of ways he's expectations. So we do the eval, we said we need to do something similar to this throughout the year. Yes or no, and talked about doing a survey of staff and teachers like we've talked about, and it talks to them about when we should do that. There are some things that we would have to discuss as far as like it talks about district mission and vision and goals. So we have to have those things for him to be able to use those things. I was like, this is what we've needed for years.
We're stepping into that because we've asked Carter to come up with goals. So that piece, and we already have a vision that was created at some point that matches. So this is just a kind of a step in the process. From my research on this, after I took a look at it, it's literally the updated version from the one that we've been using for the last, who knows how, because it was before Carter was in place. Okay, we don't want to know, but this is literally the updated version of that, but with a whole lot of supporting documentation and a whole lot of explanation. Mark, you've been our superintendent evaluator for as long as I've been here. When you looked at it, what are your thoughts?
It was real eye opener. I especially liked that they laid out the year during this time. This is kind of what you ought to be doing, and then you're over here. This is what you ought to do. That and getting together and compiling all of our thoughts, rather than just doing numbers and be doing math. That's malarkey. I think we ought to jump into
Right. Nick, I'm wondering if you'd be willing to work with the master on this. I mean, again, it's one of those, I think more brains are always better than one, and I think learning that piece, since you've taken some interest in it, would you be interested in working with Mark and spearheading this?
Sure.
One thing that is a little bit different in here, but it makes a ton of sense to me, is that there are quarterly or trimester check-ins, but I think that makes your life easier because you're reporting on pieces as we're going along and providing us with information at board meetings as we're going along that play into these. And it's stuff that I've already been requesting, like tell us about scheduling, tell us, those are the kind of artifacts that, right, that we can hear about what's going on versus just an annual. So, and again, it's as much for our information as it is for you. It just gives you a framework to share what's going on and data that's involved so that we can, again, our job as board members is up here. We're the oversight, we're the overseers of the district, and our only other job is superintendent evaluation. So, we're working with policy up here and make sure we're following all of that, but then also making sure that we're doing a good job with evaluation. So I think it's a really nice.
We're going to have those quarterly executive sessions. What we should be looking at as we go through.
Yeah.
next time I get my hair cut.
Got it. You gotta take notes.
Yeah. Could be bad.
Yeah, cut right here.
Yeah.
Deb, your thoughts on this? Okay, you like the use of it? Thank you. Macy, any, sorry, Nick, thank you very much for bringing this to our attention and sharing it with us.
What
Mark,
I found.
Mark, you're happy with it as well? I am too. I think it's a great update to what it's not changing what we've been doing. It's just being a little more purposeful and making the job easier as we're going along.
It's gonna make us do a better job of evaluating.
Yes.
Which is one of the big things the board is supposed to do.
Right.
One of our two things.
So just be maybe a little more knowledgeable too. Like, but I was going through there and like, what does it really mean? What is that?
Yeah.
That those appendixes are nice. Like, but I mean, these are the things that should be going on.
Carter, have you had a chance to look at this?
I looked at it, yeah, and I think it's great. I think it's going to be like what you guys were talking about, the format for it. It's going to have specific kind of like thresholds, and we're going to cross through those thresholds. And to be honest with you, I'm not really good at, like bragging about myself.
Mhm.
And so this is going to basically force me to do that and explain to you guys, these are the things that we've gotten done this year. These are the things that we've checked off the list. This is the goal that we're reaching towards. And I think it's going to be good. Yeah.
Then you think,
And it's going to help me be better, and help me share with you. It gives us a template of what I should be sharing with you.
Yeah.
So,
And gives us some ideas of what to ask for as well.
Mhm.
If we have questions about something that's going on, it gives us a chance to look back here and go, oh, okay, we could ask for this. This is a legitimate request. And then have part of our board meeting be informational. That's the great job. So terrific.
yeah, I think it's great.
Is there anyone that is not comfortable adopting this at this meeting? Or Mindy, you know better, do we need to discuss and then take a vote on it next meeting? Or can we take action on it this meeting if everyone is in agreement?
Honestly, I don't know because I don't know that ever in the history of time they've adopted that format. I think that it would be a negotiation between the board and the superintendent to make sure that it fits both parties' needs. I don't know that it's formal. You have to do it this way.
Like, it doesn't have to be an action item.
Correct. To my knowledge, it does.
Yeah.
Okay,
in the evaluation workbook, it does say we should adopt it.
oh, it does. Okay, I did not catch that. Okay, so
You want to put it on next month's action items?
No, I want to make a motion to adopt it.
Okay,
is there anyone that is,
Yeah, it says adopt all standards, goals, and evaluation procedures. So I guess it doesn't, it has to be the board meeting, but I just assume it says adopt.
Right. And it may be, based on that, it may be the actual goals that he sets and so forth. Maybe we adopt that in August, but we adopt this
Evaluation.
this format in our minutes.
Includes adopting materials for parts 1 and 2, and adopting the schedule for parts 3 and 4.
Okay,
What if we made a motion to adopt this workbook,
okay,
and then in the upcoming meetings, we will adopt the goals and this.
right.
I think I just said,
Okay,
But
okay, just reiterate it. More grades are better than one. We're good here. Okay, then we need a motion to adopt this, the COSA Superintendent Evaluation Workbook. Copyrighted 6/20 as our new superintendent evaluation format.
I so moved for the third time.
Okay,
I like it.
Deb, your vote? Macy?
Yep.
Nick?
Kind of,
Mark? Aye for myself as well. Perfect. Nick and Mark, you are working on timelines for next round
yeah, diligent.
diligently, wherever you do it. We will.
Where's your haircut, like, you know, like.
One of these.
Don't talk about the bad parts. Perfect. Again, Nick, thank you for bringing that to our attention. Nicely done. All right, cell phone ban. Tell us about that.
So that is this document that I provided for you. So you have the whole entire executive order in front of you. And, you know, basically, I think the slogan's going to be bell to bell, no cell. That's kind of the slogan that I've been hearing. And so we already have a cell phone policy at the high school. It'll just be part of what Chris does at the elementary. And it's pretty easy and quick. We say no cell phones. For years, what I've told kids is ask first. Like, remember the old bumper sticker that said ask first before you hunt or fish on private property? That was what I coach kids up with. And from moving forward, if there was a violation, so if the kid had the phone out, then it goes to the office. The student gets the phone back at the end of the day. That's step one. Step two, if it happens again, then I call the parents. Parents have to come in and pick up the phone. That's step two. Step three is the phone is released to the parents, and then the student's not allowed to have their cell phone on campus for the remainder of the year. And then step four is release the phone to the parents and a suspension. The likelihood that we get to step four is very low. Very, very few times have we gotten there. So, and typically we work with the families and, you know, open that line of communication and more often than not, we work with families, we work with parents, come up with a solution. And so I don't foresee it being a very big issue for us. I think the issue is going to be, I'm going to have to ask my adults on campus to enforce it. And that's where I think the issue is going to be.
Will this ban be for the adults as well?
And that, I think, I would say, I'd like to say yes and hand over my cell phone. So.
Sorry, you don't get to- I'm thinking
but-
teachers in classrooms, or I'm just thinking role modeling. How far off of this policy are we? How many teachers stick to their guns and don't allow cell phones out?
I would say we have the extremes. We have multiple teachers that are very, very good about being strict and being restrictive on cell phones. And some of them because they're nervous about being reported in the classroom and those kinds of things. And then other teachers are so busy with whatever they got going in the classroom that they're not omnipresent and able to, know exactly that kid snuck his cell phone into his hooded sweatshirt and just sent a text. And so what I'm going to say to the staff is that we need to model this behavior. We expect the kids to not be on their phones during the academic time. So please don't be on your phone during the academic time. Model that behavior. That's going to be the message that I have to staff.
Also explain. Cell phones are not allowed in. This actually says that the policy should say that the policy exclude time when the students are not on the grounds and are not under the supervision of school personnel other than the school bus driver, but it is essentially the entire school day. So that's not a lunch, that's not a recess, that is not between classes. It is the OR, her executive order is all day, starting school until the end of school.
And I think, for our elementary, and Chris could speak to this, we don't have a very big issue with cell phones at the elementary.
Well, the sixth grade, not necessarily an issue, but they do use them. They have, my understanding, from the children, that they designated cell phone time.
Gotcha.
We took that away.
Okay.
We eliminated cell phones at the elementary.
We didn't.
So we're 1 year into it at the elementary, basically, so it won't be as big of a deal.
I don't know if I saw, sounded like there was some wording in here that said that if they go to lunch and they're off campus.
Yes, yeah, it says when students are not on grounds and are not under the supervision of school personnel, it may exclude time in school. So like, our policy would have to say that when they are not on school property, they are allowed to have their cell phone, and when they're on the school bus, they're allowed to have their cell phone. Like, we have to put that in our policy, which it doesn't state that, right?
No.
But my other thing, I guess, is like, when the teachers come back to school, and we do come back to school stuff, it would be also explaining to them that not only is this our policy, but it is the executive order, and we expect, even if they're okay with cell phones in their classroom, we expect them to basically, what a lot of us have to do, that have opinions, and keep that opinion to ourselves and enforce the policy.
Mhm.
And we're not going to use cell phones to reply to whatever the board, question is, or just send emails when a kid forgets their
Chromebook.
Chromebook, and,
Yeah, and I would say that there are some teachers that are exceptional at that. And we've done things where we've put 2 Chromebooks glued to tables in the back of classes, so they had to use those to avoid that kind of thing. So we've done that.
I'm just saying, I don't want to be undermined by teachers.
Gotcha.
So if it comes to a situation where there's constantly cell phones in a classroom, and we're hearing from parents that teachers allow it, because there are some parents that feel very passionate about not having cell phones in the classroom. So we have a teacher who then says, hey, yeah, I'm good with cell phones. And that parent then is going, hey, this teacher is constantly having cell phones out of class. It's a disruption. That teacher's gonna have to come before you and probably make a disciplinary action for not following our board policy.
Yeah.
So they need to understand that like there are also consequences for them if they don't enforce what we have asked them to enforce.
Why don't I ask Rick?
I just made a note here, ask Rick for the cell phone policy that the state is recommending.
Yeah.
So if you want to do that, that just takes it off my list.
Yeah.
The other piece that I suspect that we will deal with, and consistency, in my opinion, is the key to this.
Mhm.
We will have parents that are the opposite, that are adamant that their kids need their cell phones and they need to be able to communicate with them throughout the day. Consistency is the key, and you're talking about teachers not savvy. It's like everybody, this is the rule. This is what we're supposed to be following. We all have to be 100% playing this game, and this is a difficult task. This is not a piece of cake.
There are strong.
Yeah, there,
Yeah.
yeah, there are. And so this is gonna have to be for us, but it would be nice to see what the state's got to be coming out with a policy on.
I just think we enforce the past. We can do anything after surviving.
Yeah.
True.
But
Anyway.
what I would say is this, is that why don't I ask Rick
Mhm.
for a sample policy,
Yeah.
and I'll bring that to next month's meeting. And then we can fine tooth comb it that way. Yeah.
Right, so, but again, that gives you a chance to look at that, and then you and Chris be ready for staff in service and kind of say, look, guys, here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
here's
that's,
what we
yeah,
are.
like I think we should potentially plan to adopt. Like if you email out this.
Yep,
This month.
I'll get it.
Meeting, we can all read it, we can potentially adopt it at the next meeting.
And then I'll send out a thrill share with all that information to everybody.
And then, yeah, address it. You'll have to address it.
25-09.
Yep.
We now have a new cell phone policy. It is attached to this link.
Mhm.
And it won't be a one-time,
No.
it's like working through anything. We'll have to have multiple reminders and we'll have multiple issues, but it's just gonna be a matter of being consistent and following through.
And
With-
making sure it's in the welcome back to school letter that this changed. Policy included with the welcome back to school letter. Make sure we truly give parents a fair shake before we also start disciplining kids too, right? Everybody's aware. Talk about it at the first day of school for both this guy.
This is gonna be fun. Okay, we are to discussion of the board procedure for the March 18th meeting and formal complaint. We said at the last meeting that we were going to, we had a formal complaint against the school board on how we handled our March 18th special meeting. I, as always, have forwarded that complaint to our legal advisor. And I will give you her update on that. The requested actions, let me just review the allegations: defamation and public character attack, improper termination of a contractual relationship, lack of notification and opportunity to respond. Those were the allegations. The requested actions were to conduct an independent investigation into the March 18th school board meeting, requiring a school district to issue a public correction and formal apology to Cherie Blackburn, review school board's compliance with employee due process rights, and number 4, consider appropriate sanctions or trainings for the board and administrative leadership regarding open meetings, ethical standards, and procedural fairness. Lawyers, first of all, Kara Parker is our legal advisor. She attended that meeting virtually, the entire meeting, so she was present. She also reviewed it, as I asked each of you to do, with these allegations in mind. On number 1, independent investigation, we have done our best to do that by reviewing and looking at the allegations. The lawyer's opinion there was that we have not broken any public meeting laws. So that's where that stands. Number 2, issue a public correction. Since we haven't broken any public meeting laws, not really sure what we would apologize for there. The other one is to review the employee due process, and the lawyer's conversation there was there were no employee due process rights that were infringed. So we have all, for number 4, the training for board sanctions or training for board, we have all been required to and have participated in the required board training this year. I have also attended 3 other trainings on effective board meetings, communicating with community, and then I redid the required one as well in person from the people that had it at OSBA instead of the virtual. Yes. It's annually. I don't remember what the timeline was on it.
I don't remember the timeline either. I know that if you took it in February when it was first offered, you're gonna have to take it by February.
Yeah.
And so.
Did he just give it to you, the certificate?
Yes, please. And I gathered those. I think I need a more efficient storage system because typically they're in my board book. That isn't going to help you remember when we did it.
I'm gonna put mine on file later, things on it. First of all.
Yeah.
School year starts,
Yeah, we just
do it every month first off.
of our training. Once again, the 3 choices we have for all of these through the Oregon Board of Ethics Commission is number 1, is there anything you believe we need to investigate further from what you saw on the video and looking at the allegations that were made against us? That's our number 1 option. Our number 2 option is if you saw something that you believe we erred on, then we need to determine the corrective action we will take to correct that. And our number 3 choice is if we don't believe there's anything to investigate further, if we feel like we have looked at it, however many times we've all looked at it, we've looked at it with purposefulness, with the allegations in mind and the requested actions in mind, but we don't see anything we need to correct or do, then our 3rd choice is to dismiss this complaint. And I'll let the owner of the complaint know that, and then they can do what they want from there. Discussion, comments, questions for me about, I want to say, I've got my notes here from the lawyer. This is one that we did via phone. So I did not have the formal written review of it. Okay. Again, the lawyer felt like there was nothing, that we didn't violate anything along the way in that. And like I say, she watched it virtually, or she was there virtually to start with. She did rewatch it, and then we had another conversation about it. I know I've rewatched it twice. Just,
I think the learning thing for us is, we need to pay attention in our board meetings and or backwards to make sure that we do things correctly. Thank goodness Cindy's always here looking over us.
Yeah.
And because we can make mistakes, say things we shouldn't. Aren't you? So we need to pay attention. And it's a good performance in that.
I think we learn from everything we do. That's hindsight's always 20/20, but again, doing the best that we can in the situations we're in, but also making sure that we are including people who know better than us as well is important. We have done that all the way through. So, and we'll continue to do that. Is there a motion at this point to do one of those 3 things? Investigate, correct, or dismiss?
I'm going to be dismissed.
Is there a second? Deb, your vote. This is the move to dismiss.
Aye.
Me too. Unanimous. Dismissed. Complaint against the school board. All right. Next one, discussion of formal complaints dated June 18th. Those you received as well. And you also received Ms. Parker's analysis and summary following each one. We're going to start with the one from Jada Blackburn. And the summary of the complaint was that Mr. Wells violated Jada's medical privacy. Number 2, Mr. Wells allegedly made efforts to initiate conversations. And number 3, Jada graduated. Mr. Wells allegedly popped out from behind bushes. The analysis from Ms. Parker on the COVID test was the board likely has jurisdiction over this part of the complaint. Merit of the complaint. This complaint may have merit if the board determines that the COVID tests are considered and that Mr. Wells disclosed COVID tests without valid reason to do so. In her summary of this one, she says the one component over which the board has jurisdiction may have merit. Determining the facts through investigation is likely to be exceedingly difficult, if not possible. This is from 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That was her determination on that one. The other two, I'll just read her summary on the other two. It says the board likely has jurisdiction, has jurisdiction over unwanted remarks at school. The board likely has jurisdiction over this part of the complaint. And then she goes on to say merit of the complaint, even if what Jada alleges is true, that Mr. Wells made efforts to talk to Jada at school with unnecessary remarks, like, thank you for coming to school today. This would not meet the definition of harassment or any of the prohibited conduct under board policy JFC. And then it goes on to describe that policy. Again, the summary, the board likely has jurisdiction over 2 of these 3. The board does not have jurisdiction over Jada's complaints about post-graduation harassment. Of the 2 components over which the board has jurisdiction, one is meritless harassment at school, even if the allegations are true. The one component over which board has jurisdiction and may have merit is the COVID testing. Determining the facts through investigation is likely to be exceedingly difficult, if not possible. So, you've all had a chance to read through all of it. You've all had a chance to read through the full disclosure that is attorney-client privilege information. Our choices on this one, just like the others, are number 1, is there anything in here that we believe we need to investigate further? Number 2, do we see that any errors were made that we need to do corrective or that we can do corrective action on? And number 3 would be to dismiss. That's where we are with this discussion or questions.
What the attorney had to say about us not necessarily being able to rule on a lot of this due to like the time being a couple years later. I see and understand that. So I think that potentially we're going to dismiss this. We'll see if we vote. But my thought would be moving forward that a good reminder, protecting patient information, medical information, and making sure we're having conversations on what our children can hear. I feel like you guys do a fairly good job of making sure confidential stuff is kept confidential, but just a better reminder of that. It's kind of the things, right? That has to do with passion for that person.
Deb, thoughts as you're looking through and have read this?
I'm still just kind of processing.
Okay.
Think about it for a minute.
Okay, of course. Nick,
I agree with what Missy had to say about it. This seems like it'd be difficult to try and do an investigation on something that we happened as far back as we did. So, yeah. But just to be aware that we need to be careful with patient information.
Mark, thoughts?
Right. I'm going to second what Nick said. And I can see how difficult and probably impossible that it would be to try and track down the beginning of the high school reunion that started years in the past. We know this. And that water is way under the bridge on Congo. But what Nick said about paying attention and being definitely careful about what we do say. You know, there's 1,000 years.
all the time. My opinion, after talking to and reading through the lawyer's analysis and summaries of this, we likely have jurisdiction over both the harassment claim and the test disclosure claim. I completely agree. I don't think there's any possibility of coming to any kind of resolution on how the COVID test results had got out publicly. The harassment claim is, as the lawyer said, not reasonable to assume that that's harassment. So that's my thought on it as well. I just don't see anything in here that is something that we can act on or that we should act on. My opinion. What the lawyer was at this point.
I agree with you. I'm listening to everyone else's opinion. I agree.
What we're asked to do as a board and what we're being asked to do is to look back on situations, and it's coming to us basically in an appeal format. We're being asked to make a decision on these complaints that are coming into us. We have to rely on our legal advisor to say, this has merit. It looks like you screwed up. Here's what you need to do to fix it. Or there's really, it's not against any board policy, and there's nothing you can do to fix it. We are doing everything in our power to do this right and to make good decisions with the school district, with our students, most importantly, and our staff. And that's where we have to be with what we're doing on these decisions. None of them are easy, but nobody ever said serving the community with ease. That's just the way it is. Are we ready for a motion on this, or do we need to?
I'm going to move that we dismiss.
Is there a second? Deb? Macy? And I as well.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
I would like to formally say that if I did anything that hurt this individual, I would like to volunteer a formal apology letter to that individual. By no means did I do anything intentionally or on purpose, and I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry that a student feels that way in regards to me, and I'd like to formally apologize to them if you guys are okay with that in a letter.
You feel it necessary, but it is not necessary.
I understand. I want you to know that I feel that way,
Okay.
and that I take a lot of pride in what I do here. And if I made a student feel that way, I'm very, very sorry about it. And I will formally apologize in a written.
Again, that is your choice.
Yeah.
It is not anything at all that we believe you have done wrong.
Okay.
Second formal complaint, dated June 16th, is from Mr. Blackburn. Allegations are failure to have a plan in place for no contact order, failure to respond to a direct parental inquiry, negligence in ensuring equitable participation, and using retaliatory and threatening language toward a minor. And the request for action, full investigation into Mr. Wells' handling of the no contact order, immediate assurance that Camilla may safely and equitably participate in all team activities under proper supervision without contact from Coach Dunlap, a written apology to Camilla for threatening language included in the district's response, and a review of the district's process for handling student complaints, protective directives to ensure student safety and due process are not compromised. Oh, sorry. strike the student's name. You guys have the lawyers summary of the jurisdictional standard under board policy BBA, board powers and duties. The school board acts as a fact-finding body or court of appeals for staff, students, and public when issues involve board policy or agreements and their implementation. If a complaint does not implicate any board policy, the board does not have the authority to investigate the complaint. This is key. Summary of complaints. I've just gone through those. Analysis. Number one, the no response to the email. Mr. Blackburn does not allege that Mr. Wells violated any board policy, and no board policy can be reasonably construed as requiring the superintendent to answer every email he receives. Number two, failure to enforce a no contact order. Mr. Blackburn does not allege that Mr. Wells violated any board policy, and no board policy can be reasonably construed to obligate Mr. Wells to enforce the no contact order that the coach was under during the pendency of the student's complaint. Number three, failure to provide a way for the student to participate in off-season optional practice. No policy violation alleged, nor is there any policy that requires the district to ensure that student athletes can participate in off-season optional practices. Number four, use of threatening language to acknowledge the student's complaint. The board likely has jurisdiction over this portion because the allegation of threatening language can be construed as harassment, intimidation, or bullying. That would indicate board policy JFCF. Merits of the complaint. There is no merit to the allegation that Mr. Wells' language about false complaints is a threat that violates JFCF. The language that Mr. Wells used in his acknowledgement to the student's complaint is lifted directly from the complaint procedure policy that the student was complaining under. Her complaint is under board policy JFCF. JFCF AR specifically states that false charges shall be regarded as a serious offense and will result in disciplinary action or other appropriate sanctions. Mr. Wells was advising the student of her rights and responsibilities related to the complaint. He lifted the alleged threatening language directly from board policy. This letter was also drafted and sent to the lawyer and came back approved from the lawyer. So that's the story on that. The summary, the board does not have jurisdiction over 3 of the 4 parts of Mr. Blackburn's complaint because they do not implicate any board policy. The board has jurisdiction over Mr. Blackburn's complaint with Mr. Wells, including threatening language. However, there's no merit to the student's complaint. No reasonable person would view Mr. Wells' use of language that is straight out of JFCR AR as a threat that would meet the definition of any prohibited conduct. That is her advice on this one, piece by piece. And again, as a board and as was stated earlier, jurisdictional standard, we are dealing at this level with board policy. If there is no policy, we do not have jurisdiction over it. If there is policy such as the harassment policy, that's where we can make a decision. And so one of these 3 is where we can make the decision. And again, our 3 choices based on Oregon Board of Ethics. Number 1, do we see anything here that we need to investigate further? And it would only be on the harassment piece. Number 2, if we have made a mistake, if any of us believe we have made a mistake, then we need to propose determine corrective action and take that to correct. And then number 3 is dismiss if we don't find either of the first two something that we think we need to do. Discussion.
Based on the attorney's evaluation, I only have jurisdiction over the use of threatening language, and that was lifted directly from board policies with everyone on the threatening.
That's correct.
I would make a motion to dismiss them.
Let's have everybody weigh in and then we'll come to your motion. Mark, your discussion or comments?
Some words in our policy are not nice, but they need to be. Okay.
Nick, comments? Yep. It comes back to me for policy, and that's why we've gone to the effort and expense to make sure our policies are up to date, that they are legal, that they address what needs to be addressed for us, and that we can follow them. And that's why we did all that work in November, and that's why we continue to pull these up and try our best to make sure we are following. That's my opinion.
I'll second the motion on the floor.
Vote, Mark?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Macy?
Aye.
Deb? Aye as well for me. So we have dismissed both of those. And we are down to, I put an extra one in here. We've had some interesting stuff come through the feds. Title III, which is a second language title. Do we have anyone that qualifies for Title III funds? Do we receive any Title III funding? Okay. And then also Title I-C, which is migrant funding. Do we have anyone that qualifies for that? Okay, we dodged a bullet on those two. Yay. We've got some action items that we have not addressed yet, and I've got to say, sadly, we received a letter of resignation from Daniel Durrell, music teacher. Dear administration, I wish to inform you that I will be resigning from my position as a music teacher from Union School District since the contracts are not active. My last day will be 7/3. I have accepted an offer from the Grant School District as the new middle and high school choir director. Choir has always been a passion of mine, so I felt strongly the need to accept this offer. I would like to thank you for your many opportunities that were provided to me in this district, taking a chance on someone just working on getting a license. I also have little to no band experience. This new position just happens to line up with more of my passions when it comes to music. Thank you again for all you guys did for me. It will always be appreciated. Regards, Daniel Durrell. We need to accept that resignation. Yes, sadly.
Well, I moved that with the caveat that that guy did a wonderful job.
He did. He
worked
hands down.
really hard, and I can understand the move that he had, because
It's a step up, but he did a heck of a job for a new guy, for a kid that really and truly had no teaching experience.
Yeah.
Great hire.
Yeah.
And obviously, someone else thought the same. And then it looks like we may have a music teacher to replace Daniel.
Yes. You want to talk about this one, Chris or Nick?
accept his.
Oh,
You got it.
sorry.
Okay, sorry. Well, Mark, Nick. Sorry. You got it all. I'm old. I'm just colored.
I like it when you yell, that way I can.
All right, now we're in the process of hiring a new person to replace him.
Yes, so Monday morning, we met with 2 candidates and interviewed them both. And the interview panel selected Naomi Carson, who also is in the Master's of Teaching program currently and will need an emergency license as well. She is currently enrolled in a program. She taught last year at a private school in Grand, so she does have some teaching experience. She's young, she's energetic, she's knowledgeable of music. She has ideas on how to overcome her deficiency as far as not being a band person. She presented some ideas about how she would go about teaching a beginning 6th grade band and then get into the high school and try to continue what's already been built. And she has ideas about how to grow and improve the program. And so to be a college student, you come in with the mindset about how you're going to overcome her own deficiencies as far as teaching what we want her to teach. And then I really got the impression that she is going to be another level at the elementary. She's going to have that movement and that activity that those kids need to be engaged, as well as learning concepts. And so Carter and Nick can also speak to, they were there as well, but I highly recommend Naomi Carson to fill that open phase.
Nick, any comments on the?
She's gonna be good. She's very energetic. Like her background music, I can remember, she said that after dinner at her house, like, people just pick up instruments and start jamming out. I was like, that sounds really neat. But yeah, I think she's gonna be great.
Yes, she's excited.
Yeah.
She's excited about the job, and you can't pay enough for that. And so, and it's a big job. It's one of the bigger jobs that we have on campus.
It is, K-12 music is big ass.
Yeah.
That was made very clear to her.
Yeah.
Just the importance of our programs.
And Chris did a good job making sure her schedule was there. So she understood what the expectation is, and then connecting her with Mr. Durrell so they could kind of powwow to see what's what in the music room and what do we have? What do we need? You know, those kinds of
She
things.
didn't look at the schedule and say, no, thank you.
No. She did have to resign from another job. So, but yeah, we're excited and she's excited.
K-12 music is top area usually, especially this late in the year, so.
Right, and I go behind her, and Naomi Parkman for music.
Second. Mark.
Hi.
Mason. Hi. Hi. Okay, music teacher hired, yay. Okay. Future agenda items, as a board, we need to, in August, be thinking about board goals. It goes along with the workbook that we have adopted. And so it is something that I know is new, but it's a good thing. I've worked with goals my entire career, and I think goals drive us and help us achieve direction and performance. So
We did it above.
I don't think it's a bad thing. So we will be doing that at our August meeting, and we will also be hearing Carter's goals.
Yes.
Again, down the same line, we will have measurable goals for us for this coming school year, as our goals will be measurable as well. And then we will be expecting 3rd grade reading, 4th grade math, and 9th grade on track reporting with the idea of this is where we're starting. And then where will we be expected to go? And that will help us certainly with our board goals on the academic piece. If we know where we are, what should we expect by the end of the school year for all of our kiddos? Questions or discussions or additions to future agenda items for August? Hearing none, we did get the public comment thing set up so that we can allow public comment from anyone who is watching virtually, which allows us to ask for public comment from anyone who would like to give that. It is 3 minutes and we do not answer questions in there, but we are happy to hear any comments you may have as far as what you have for us. So is there anyone of you that would like to make public comment?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm Jay Blackman, 599 South Fifth Street. On last meeting, that we have listening for, on the last meeting.
you can make any comments you want.
At the last meeting, there were questions of whether to do street tags ever asked by, asked Ms. Coach Dunlap to get the requested document that was used against my life. That was never answered in the meeting. I'm still waiting for that response. I felt the need to question one now. I'd like to answer that.
We're not answering questions. We are taking public comments. Okay. Anything else? Lance or Sheree? I can come back to you if you want to think, because we'll check the virtual. Is there anybody virtually that wants to?
I don't see
Make
anybody. No, I don't see anybody. No.
Every board meeting I've been to, when a public or one of the school employees is, an issue comes up, we've been told expressively that we're not allowed to discuss that in an open meeting. So when I went back and reviewed the 2 meetings that your lawyer suggested that you not tell us about, which I also don't think is very honest. If you want to solve a problem, I think you invite the people that you're having a problem. But in the meeting, you guys discussed the public employee, which left me absolutely baffled that we would discuss a public employee in an open meeting. So I have no idea what your lawyer is talking about. And obviously she was very concerned about that issue, or she would not have brought up that 4 minutes of the tape. I also don't appreciate people talking about my wife and her friend and saying that we should blackball them. I also don't appreciate people calling us liars, particularly when we're not here to defend ourselves. And I also don't appreciate the lack of appreciation for 12 years of volunteering, coaching, paying for all kinds of things out of pocket for the programs that no one wants to take. Like elementary volleyball, 56 girls. You have no idea how many shirts we paid for out of pocket. You have no idea how many eyeglass keepers that we wouldn't have bought because kids' eyeglasses were sliding off their nose. We have given to the school for 12 years, and we've taken the very non-glorious jobs. They're probably the best jobs because of the kids we get to interact with. They're fantastic. But I'm absolutely baffled that we're being treated like this. And we've given so much and we've had nothing but accolades from the parents that we've coached their kids. And oddly enough, several of the people here, we coach their kids and we actually have cards thanking us for that. If you want to talk about how people act in sporting events, my daughter, Annika, my oldest daughter, had a coach named Carter Wells, and was some of the most ridiculous actions I've ever seen on a basketball court. Screaming, yelling, red face. I've never come close to anything like that. I've never done that when coaching. I'm just appalled at the hypocrisy. There's your comment.
We appreciate your comments. We surely do. We're glad to come to our meetings. We did not get to the athletic code of conduct.
So put that on there.
So it will go on the August meeting. I will let everyone know. I have sent that to our lawyer as well for her to look at to see if there's anything that she would suggest that needs to be added to it. So let me add that to that, and we'll have to work on that in August as well. That's a really late test. We're gonna look at it because that's where we are.
Do we want to like send our own, maybe it, no,
Not to be held.
no, but like to, can we reply to James's email with our, directly to him? Or should we reply to you? Or should we just wait?
I think just wait. Or send them to me and I'll compile one document and get it to all of you and to James. That might be the way to do it. You don't, if you start an email thread with James and you email him,
Yeah,
and
we can't
email
do
him,
that.
it's just, it's a lot.
Can't do
And so I think if you'll send them to me, I'll type a list of everybody's files and send them to James to be prepared to address them. Because I even think if I send them to you, I could send them in the board packets, but I don't think we want to entertain sending them like next week. Because isn't that a meeting outside of the meeting? And we aren't going. So let me send those in the packet 3 days before the meeting.
We have to wait.
I think it'll be,
My comments are not urgent, but
yeah, yeah.
they can just wait.
So, choices there are, if we got them done and you want to get them to Mindy, and she will start a non-named person set. And then if you have them and you want to bring them to the next meeting, that would be great. And then I will have Kara's input as well at the next.
And some of the history on this policy, Mark and I are probably the only two that remember. Because the athletic code of conduct and some of the violations and the requirements for drug and alcohol testing may or may not even be legal anymore. But when it was done so many years ago, and the premise of that was they wanted those athletes to make a poor choice to have a way to earn back the privilege to join the team. And it was through, I think there were some counseling steps, there was some drug or an alcohol testing steps. So there was a lot of work put into it, but I don't know that it's still relevant in the time, so it does need to probably be done by that.
At that time, the thought was that our athletes need to, their bar needs to be a little higher than non. They're going to represent us. This is what we expected. And that's what drove us into that line.
But we also didn't have a handbook at that time.
Right.
Now we have a handbook and a lot of the languages. So
Okay.
Is there a rough draft of the spectator code of conduct?
It's attached to that email
Yeah.
that Mindy sent with the agenda.
and
Okay.
to be honest,
Oh, no, James sent it.
James
It
said.
was James's email and it went to everybody. And,
So.
and there was about 6 or 8. But there was about 6 or 8 attachments that he had. He had the proposed ones. And then he had other school districts that, so you could see where he, like, basically,
The school email.
oh,
yes.
do you want a copy of it? I have a copy right here.
And we have that. It's been-
They'll let us change our password.
If you go in and line,
I hate
then
that.
they will
I
come.
can't remember, it's like trying to go change it today.
I can get into it.
The double authentication is a. All right, anything else for future agenda items? All right, then this meeting is adjourned.